Good afternoon. This is weekly outlook. There's a lot to talk about because uh, it has been one hell of a week. We had a last leg push through all-time high. Obviously, we hit the lows and then consolidated, expended a little bit more. Now, when you take the pullback in consideration, you get about near 2%, 1.5%, a little under 1%. Same here, about 1.2. This one is nearing 2%. We do have 200T, which happens to be gathering liquidity. So there's a very high potential that we are going under 7,400. That being said, there is no big news this week, no big earnings as well, just small names. So there, as far as data, it should not make any difference. We shouldn't expect any movement just from the data. We do have to break this low right here in order to create a market structure break that would validate a downside. As far as right now, I would say it's forming, if it is to be bearish, it'll be forming a right shoulder somewhere around here or around here. But obviously it can't break 75.40. The fact that we have stopped at 75.40 on the dot to me just shows that it's kind of a call wall. There's still those upper daily and upper weekly haven't been touched, but they were priced in, so that means there is demand at those levels still. These levels, this was Friday and this was the Monday one. We did bust through the Monday and then we really melted from there. So I could expect 200T tap. The bottom of Wednesday was swept, and then the top of Friday, 9 o'clock, was also swept. So that is a bearish engulfing candle on the 4 hour. I do believe there will be continuation to the downside. Now, that being said, like I mentioned, that is the first break of structure, which we haven't really done yet. There's liquidity below to go and sweep. Uh, this low here is the main, that would be the second one, is the main important one that we need to watch. And then obviously there's this low here. As far as right now, these three are what I'm watching for the beginning and the mid of this week. Volume was significant, and then there's a divergence off of the pullback. Volume is rising, and then the price is falling. So if we are going anywhere, I mean, 7,400, 7,300 is probably our best bet. I wouldn't say this entire move is going to get retraced, but if you 50% the move, we're going to the third low. So that kind of makes sense, right? I mean, as far as analysis. So I'm watching for this low to completely reverse the price if we are closing below 7,400 and then below 73.89, which is 200T. Once we close below here, I'm going to wait for the retest. If the retests do find some volume up, I'm going to hold on the short. But if the retest bounces off of 200T, I'm going to short it to at least down here and probably let a runner run. Besides that, we do have VIX rising. It did close above the traumas, but really by a small margin. It did wick pretty high near the 20 levels. As far as right now, I'm gonna keep my eyes on the daily, probably a couple days from Friday daily. We should be in either above or below these range. I'm still looking for a close below 200T to make sure that we are in uh, a bull leg as far as I can see. For now, the traumas are too tight, and the price is just hovering in a very tight VIX range. So that's something to keep in mind. Either break above, or break below, close below. That's for VIX. And then DXY, absolute rampage. DXY is on a clear head and shoulder inverted. That is negated. We are likely going to the neckline at least, I would say 200T. This is just, that's just going to hold, right? Because the retest has pushed it, and these are very clean body candle. So dollars are going to be rising. The it's not looking good for the bulls, I would say. Even if there is other confluence that would say, hey, this is a very bullish market, but it's just, that's not good. To me, it just doesn't look good. It needs to stop at 100 at the most, and then call it there and start tanking back down. But as far as right now, I mean, it's 20, 50, 200. There's a high likelihood that we are going to top off at least 103, 100. I'm gonna start really being concerned once we break these highs over here. If we break that and we really start closing above, and obviously retesting the 200 and then sending it higher, that's going to be a really good sign that the dollar is going to be pressuring the market. There's RL at 100.3. You have another one of 100.32, and then 106. I doubt we're gonna go here because that would be really crazy. At least not in the like short term. Just let's stick to this range here for this week, and then probably in the coming week or two to think about that the dollar might go above the 200 trauma. SPY has a $13 expected move. I do believe the levels are, yeah, $13. So 753 up there, 753.11, and then 725.61, 725.23. So 725 would be in the gap here. So what I can see right off the bat is that it's empty of liquidity. The pocket is down here, 710. I doubt we're gonna go down here because there's just not no reason yet. And we would be under gamma. Gamma is probably gonna move as far as the new uh the after OPEX new money coming in. So that is likely going to change. I'm updating everything on Sunday through Monday, and then Monday is likely to be what was sent on Monday intraday. But as far as right now, this is a pretty decent range of price. 753. That would be roughly 3.5, somewhere thereabout. Yeah, 3.5. So the daily expected move is roughly 13, and then you have uh, two standard deviation outside of it. So the lows of Friday should be retested once we find a high or a low off of those daily expected move. So keep in mind this beautiful gap here, and then obviously there's a very high likelihood that we are going to attempt a retest of Friday highs. There's a saying, if Thursday highs are higher than Friday highs and Friday hasn't retested Thursday highs, there's a very high likelihood that we are going to retest Friday lows. Friday lows being 736, which is not too far. There's a high likelihood that we are going to retest this support here to see if it can actually support the price again. There's opening gap here. We were clearly sending shorts, right? But we shorted into a support. So we really want to see if that support is going to hold the price so it can continue. As far as right now, it's a simple retest. So keep in mind, we just need to hold these 735 levels and not go any lower. Otherwise, yes, we're going to be losing another $10. So Q's is the one showing the actual resistance. 200T is right there. All the liquidity is below, but it's really far down. So as far as right now, it's more of a, yes, 696. That's pretty far down, but there is an RL at 704.95, and 705 is 200T. So what I would do is just keep your eyes on QQQ, the reaction at 200T, because it is the 200 moving average on the 4 hours, and then you have an hourly equal low resting liquidity at 704.86. So a wick below 200T, go wick in there, test if there's sweep liquidity, and then a reversal. As far as right now, it closed on bearish Maribozu. It looks like it wants lower, but if it wants lower, it's gonna want a premium price, which 708 should be where the premium would be, and then it'll show short down. To mention, there is a death cross from 200 through 50, and then 20 went under. So if 200 goes under 20, it's going to be really, really volatile. Just keep that in mind every time I see that happen. When 200 just crosses under 20, that's when it gets pretty gnarly. There's a few times that happened. You can back test that, but yeah, I've seen that happen a couple times, and that just gets gnarly. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is what I'm watching for cues. for a correlation for any reversal. Same thing with ES. It did find hourly support, lots of support at POC. There's a very high likelihood that this is a higher low. If it is a higher low to go and fetch a premium price, I would keep in mind that all the traumas on the hourly on ES are aiming down, so the premium would likely be somewhere around 74.60, maybe 74.70. It really, there's nothing else much up here, so just keep in mind we might just find premium really quickly and then dip low. It all depends on the gap, the weekly gap that we're going to create from the over the weekend price action. So obviously if we gap low, we probably are going to sweep the lows, some trap the bulls, and then stop them out as we come back up to go fetch a premium to send it back down into probably 73 ish. These 1, 2, 3. So the three lows. There is liquidity on all three, minus this one here, but that's just because it's far down. It'll start compounding. These two are definitely right there for the taking, and I still think we're going to go and wick one of those two. Q's is likely the same liquidity here, which is in the middle of the second swing low. So it's kind of odd, but there is a support over here. So obviously, 28.7 is main support, hard support. I think NQ has given us the clue because it did close under its point of control. We really want to see what happens at the first swing low. If there's any buyers, this obviously is going to be the target. If there's no buyers, I have yet to update those daily expected move, but those were from last week and it rejected. And this, if you pattern this looks like it's a good high for the time being. Bitcoin, same thing. It's consolidating, but it is consolidating under hourly 200T. So it's already looking pretty bad for crypto. I don't think it's going to be going any higher. The consolidation here is going to go and want to fetch somewhere below. If it goes 78, 70, yeah, 70. If it if it loses 78, it's going to go 75 and then probably 74. The dailies right there, it's under. It really needs to find buyers over here. Otherwise, it's going to go and retest the low to at least be able to get to 85, 86. As far as right now, there's nothing. All the liquidity is below, so something to watch. Same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum didn't even move at all through all of this. Ethereum said has nothing to do with any of the buyers that happened last week on Bitcoin. Uh, it's consolidating over here. The move on Ethereum might be violent. I don't see 1700, but it's just so iffy right now because we're at the end of a leg. The dollar's rising. There's pressure on the market. The war is still raging. There's threats. There's bombings. It's not done yet. Like it's just not done yet. Oil is above $100 again. Like it's just not. It doesn't look good right now. Like it's not done. Just be keep that in mind. It's not done. Even if OPEC says it has closed a bunch of calls, there's going to be new money coming in. We really want to see the sentiment of new money. I did send uh, the COT sheet for the metals, so keep that in mind. There's a lot of the producers are selling metals, and retail and big investors are long on metals. So something big and defensive is about to happen. Yeah, I mean, look at that. It's just clean candle. There might be a pullback, but that was a 50% pullback, and then it just created another high. It is a steep ramp. Every time there's a steep ramp, it kind of pulls back. Obviously, a 50% pullback would be back in that doji over here. There's a potential that obviously 93 would be support, 89, 90 hard support. 20T is still below, and they're parallel, so that might just be a lower high. Just keep in mind, we need to break previous day high 101 for 103, and then potential 106. As far as right now, just gotta keep your eyes on this, and once it starts dipping, we will likely go and retest support. Liquidity is showing us, yeah, it's all at the support over here. It's not much else. Hourly did find support. There's a bunch of buyers. Oh yeah, okay. So there is a very high likelihood that we open this on a gap, 103 to 106. So keep your eyes on those highs over here, 106. That's where it might actually reverse. And the fact that energy has ramped the whole day. The week was kind of choppy, but it found a higher high, closed on a higher high, and closed on a hammer candle. Very, very high likelihood that this little pattern here is going to continue higher, retest maybe 3.5, 3.1. Traumas are aimed up, so the volume is showing pretty significant follow through. Just to keep that in mind. That. Okay, so when I sent the cot, it showed producers were selling, and then everybody else was buying. They've been selling for a while. Found support 4,500. 4,500 is really a hard support for now. If it breaks 4,500, there's going to be a retest. 4,400. As far as right now, the channel has been tested low, so there's a high likelihood that we are going to test a high off of the channel. So keep your eyes peeled for maybe 49, somewhere thereabout. I'll extend it for the next week, but for now, I doubt that by Wednesday, June 3rd, we'll be up there. But yeah, I mean, so far 4,800, 4,840, and then 4,890, 4,900 is target if we can break above 200T. Silver, same deal. Simple retest of the trend line support right here. There's a very high likelihood that silver is going to bounce. This was just a OPEC sell-off. If the Nvidia deal goes through, and then they're requiring a shitload of silver, the producers are selling heavily, and so this is an opportunity to buy at discount. I mean, $76 is pretty cheap for silver as far as this range goes. No, I wouldn't say it's gonna go create a higher high, but there is a range of $90 and then $97. So ultimately, If you 50% it, it'd be 91 to roughly 94. So there's very high likelihood that we are going to find some highs over here. As far as right now, this is one stock that I was looking at. Where's the, oh yeah. Well, this is on a daily, I think, the one I showed. Yeah. Pretty defined under over, and it held POC. So Microsoft might really kick off. If this market finds a bottom, assuming it does, that would explain the move on Qs and SPY. If we are to go up, obviously 421 will break, and then 421 can lead to 478 in the coming months. Just keep in mind this might be a bottom. The fact that we higher load, if this higher low holds, which is going to be this one right here, and POC is confirmed, that's going to run for the next month or so. Something to really, really keep in mind. Apple already showed that it had formed its higher low. I mean, granted, it was kind of very close, but that's a higher low. And that's the leading trend after. So, Nvidia just went on a tangent, absolute like, destructive tangent. It just did not care about selling. That deal was just insane. Don't even need fib anymore because it's absolute bunker stock. I mean, 236. It's just crazy. There's gonna have to be a pullback. There's just nothing. That's just crazy. The fact that it's this expensive and it just continued like absolute bunker rally. You would have thought that this was head and shoulders, but it market had other ideas. I don't think it's done falling. I think it needs a little retest, but it did close under 4-hour 20T, so that's a good sign for more short. Again, if the market holds its ground and that we are in a bottom, this is a pre-earnings run, obviously. If it consolidates, goes and retests, I mean, that's a 50%. If it 50% is the range, it'll be previous month high, somewhere thereabout. Retest of 215, 217, and then earnings comes in and it bounces off and then goes back into previous high range. But this is the pre-earnings run, and OPEX was right before, so that's when all the orders went in. But a lot of people entered here. This is all bullish volume, bullish spikes of volume, and there's no actual massive spikes to show us that there's going to be a lower low, but there's something to keep in mind. Google followed up. Yeah, those are pretty tight, and you have equal highs, so I think Google stopped off. Again, consolidation. This is not a strong close. Volume did follow, but volume died right after. So this is not a strong close. Pretty sure there's going to be a lower low somewhere for Google, 380, 380 to 375, maybe even a retest of 200T if the indices are weakening. as far as volume. What else we got? Amazon. Amazon's back in fib. I didn't really extend the fib because I like to leave it, 'cause then it creates a false breakout, and then that's where I base my analysis on. We are we did cross here, and that's when it started falling. So again, a lot of stocks are looking bearish. A lot of stocks have started selling, but like they actually are. It's not just a small pullback, it's a significant pullback. The only issue I have with that is the like it's a clean channel. And if it stays in that channel, it could possibly go retest the golden zone and then flip. I mean, it is inside the golden zone. So all it needs is a little bit of buyers to come in, and then it's going to send it, right? So just keep in mind 254, 265, close above 265, we're going to explode. But anything in that range is going to be consolidation until they find some buyers. You're going to see it through the volume. Obviously, like here, gonna retest. These were earnings. It fetches all bunch of buyers, and then it just kicked off, right? So this is the kind of stuff you want to see in an earnings or after earnings for a higher high. The issue I have is the higher high did not, like the body did not close past the earnings high. So that means it's exhaustion, and it led into a selling. So everybody sold from that point on. So there could be continuation of selling pressure. Just keep in mind this is a pretty clean channel. Uh, oh yeah, Meta. Meta. Somebody told me about Meta. Yeah, Meta. It is at POC. Wait, no, it's value low. Where's the POC? Yeah, right here. Okay. So daily POC, and it's a doji. It's a pretty clean doji. Absolutely clean doji. So you have a daily doji on Meta. So the strategy is a 4 hour. Head, left, right. So you have an inverted head and shoulders. I mean, granted, it's not like super clean, so it's more like an under over, but it's still valid. I think this found a bottom. I'm pretty sure on that just because of that daily doji. You still have a low here. It's island reversal. I don't think this is going to go any lower. If it does, it's going to close under POC very soon. If it does, we might actually uh, we might actually go and maybe like 575, 583. It's going to go fill up that gap over here. But if it continues above, we're looking at 634, 650, and then maybe a retest of those highs pre-earnings. Because the earnings were good, right? The earnings were absolutely bonkers. So why did it sell? You're telling me that this was the high, 740 was the absolute high? I don't think so. There's a range, right? There's a massive range that it can go. And I think that's the island reversal. Last two times it did bounce, and then you have the lower low here. So lower high, higher low, lower high, higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high, higher low, higher high. There's a high likelihood we create a higher high. If it's not creating a higher high off of this one, it'll be off of that high. But think about it, earnings are coming for in 2 months. I do believe those will be significant, either for a lower low or a higher high off of the bigger structure. But these are the one I'm watching. It's just the fact that it bounced here, the likelihood that this is an island reversal and it's going to bounce is pretty significant. I'm not even going to wait for it to close above. I think I'm going to send it right now because of the daily doji and the inverted head and shoulder under over, or whatever you want to call it. It just looked like, to me, it just looks pretty clean. Tesla has topped. To me, Tesla's topped. There is just not, like, that's too significant, and it lost POC with like significant volume, and the volume did not break 20 BDMA, so it looks valid for a short. Um, like if you see it spiked up here, and then we created a pretty significant down day. Here did, but it failed. It created a higher high, but the body failed to just close above previous swing high, and then it led to significant drill down. So I think it topped off. I would say at least 408, and then if you send it over here to be, yeah, that's perfect. So 50% 408. We'll wait the reaction of 408. That might be a bounce. If it's not, if it closes below with significant volume, you'll have a retest of 20T. As far as right now, they're aimed up, so I'm expecting 50T reversal, but until 50T is hit, it's going to need liquidity to go and retest to kick off above the previous highs. So to me, this looks bearish. There's a pretty good trade here, pretty good short trade. I'm probably going to send that because I like the idea that it's just too clean. I mean, it's just too clean. You see when it closes under its volume daily moving average, there's just a continued short trend. It's only a couple days. They're both valid. This one kind of led to significant buying. It showed that buyers came in control, high or low. Obviously, it sent it, right? And then the retest, little sell off at 50T, and then you have a bunch of buyers, and they're valid because they're under 20 VDMA. So, and then it led to the explosion of the rest of it. As soon as it closed above 50T, it went to fetch a lower high, or the previous swing high. Not the higher high, but it attempted to hold POC, and it just failed. It failed. It had no more juice, so it's exhaustion. So keep in mind there is a very, very high likelihood that Tesla is exhausted. Beside that, the MAG 8 ETF did break out to the upside. I'm gonna speculate it's gonna hold 20T level. I would not, like, I would be worried if we close under 20T, because if you look, we have not since the beginning of April. We have tested under, but the wick always end up closing above. So if we close one of those bodies below, oh, we're looking at some downside in the market as a whole, because that's exactly what happened in the past. So just keep in mind It might wick below, but we want a closed body below to really show some weakening in the mags. And that's gonna likely just weaken the entire market. But as far as right now, you can see it closed above. Just keep that in mind. I don't have much else other than these two. These found the highs. I mean, DRAM is just on a tangent. It's going to consolidate. Obviously, it has no more juice. It tried to close above POC, failed. Volume is insane. Even here, you see that's a spike of volume leading into a sell-off, lower high, sell-off. We are likely to either create, we might actually create a lower low. I think this is going to aim for a lower low, 46 to 48. It already retested 48, and then it failed. It couldn't find any more juice, so keep that in mind. This looks like a trap, and that's the spike that we're looking for on daily. There's likely, yeah, I would say 46, maybe even 43, 43.80. Same thing here. Semiconductor ETF found a high, could not create a higher high. It just sold off. It is still higher low, so keep in mind it's still looking like a higher low, but the volume here shows me it's a trap. And then the money flow index is depleting from the semiconductors. So watch the reaction at 50. If it goes below 50, we're going to continue down lower. 505 would be my target. Maybe 530 would be probably some type of soft support. But the hard support is at 505. So as far as right now, these are the two levels I'm going to watch. Obviously, it is not a market structure break because it really needs to break this low. It did break one, but it needs to break a second breaker structure, previous breaker structure, to be able to confirm that it is a short-sighted. But for now, there's some signs where exhaustion has happened. As far as I am concerned, this is all I have for the week. It's going to be a calm week, so just keep in mind something to just chill and take proper trades. Don't overextend yourself. Don't go crazy. There's likely going to be a bounce on both sides. There's some lows that have been created, but there's a lot of signs that are showing that the market has been exhausted on the ramp. And I bet all the FOMO uh, is going to set in once it forms a decent low. We need a healthy pullback to continue higher. As far as right now, it's mid-month after OPEX. We need to see what kind of new money comes in and then uh, send some swings. So that is it for weekly outlook. Good luck, guys.